This video is brought to you by the Rebirth Garments team. I'm Sky Cubacub, the founder and creator of Rebirth Garments, a clothing line for queer and trans folks with disabilities of all sizes and ages. Today, my employee, friend, and collaborator, Kala Bordi, will be showing you how to do every mask attachment style that we offer here at Rebirth Garments. We offer as many attachment styles as possible and are adding styles all the time in order to fulfill accessibility needs. This is Radical Fit, an 8-month fashion-based program series that embraces craft, making, and DIY while providing a safe space for teens to discuss gender equity and to dream and create through personal expressions of style. The initiative is funded through Project Next Generation, an education technology initiative of the Illinois Secretary of State and State Librarian Jesse White. Fabric ties.
Hi, I'm Kala, and I'll be teaching you some spicy attachment styles for medical masks today. So we're going to start with this mask and put fabric ties on each of the corners so that you can tie it around your ears or over your head like mine. For a tie-on mask, you can use a number of different things. You could find some ribbon, you could find an old shoelace, you could sew together some little cords like we do with little strips of fabric. And then in the end, you'll just be attaching them to each corner of your mask so that you can tie them around your head. Here's my threaded machine, but you can do all of this by hand pretty easily. I hold my little cord right at the corner here, and then first I start by placing under my foot and setting that down. And then I go over it once or twice before I fold it back. And so here I'll do a reverse stitch as well. And then I end up flipping it over and securing it down again so that it's facing away from the mask and pointing towards the back of the head. So on this mask, which is a window mask with a vinyl window, we don't have a pocket on either side, so I can just continue stitching down towards where my next tie will go. And place my next one. Run my stitches off, lift my needle, and then this machine has a little blade. All right, so I've done this one side and I'm just gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Here's my beautiful tie-on mask that I could place over this one and tie either around my head, or you can even fashion these into ear loops. They're just a little excessive with the length. But yeah.
Ear loops with silicone adjusters. To use an everyday object to make a tool that can put the little silicone adjusters or hoodie cords onto elastic, just take a bobby pin and you're going to take wire cutters and cut off the side that is coming off a little bit, just so that you have a nice straight little line. And wear goggles, and when you're cutting it, you're going to use wire cutters and you're going to cover it with your hand while you are cutting it. Okay. So yeah, now you have this little thing, and we have cut a foot-long piece of corded elastic that you can get from Etsy or Amazon, or I get it in bulk from Swatch On. And you're going to put, you're going to double knot each side, and then you're going to do this and go through the bigger hole on the silicone adjustment and just pull it through, and just pull it through.
For a mask that has the thin ear loops on either side, using this little cord elastic, we end up tying knots in the end so that it won't pull through the stitches that you've sewn onto the corners of the mask. And if you are hand sewing, I would recommend a sharp needle and potentially even piercing through this thin elastic. But since we can't really control that with our sewing machine, we end up just placing it so the knot is a little more than 1/4 inch from the edge, and trying to make sure that we'll end up going over the elastic without pushing it around. And you want to go over it, back over it a few different times just to give it a better chance to hold tight to our little mask. And when you're using a mask that has a pocket on one side, you can't really do the stitching all the way down to sew the other end. And so for these, you're just going to stop with these few little stitches and then just start it all again with your other corner. Here's our finished mask with some thinner ear loops and our little silicone stoppers that allow you to tighten it up and like make it super custom for your ear. And I kind of like these ones because I kind of like having the contrast stitching in each corner, but that's just me.
Elastic and fabric tie.
My attachment style of choice is a tie on the bottom and elastic at the top. And if your tie is long enough, whenever you go into your house or something, you can flip your elastic down and then wear it around your tie along your neck. And so the ties that we use are 42 inches long, and for, on average, a good idea if you have, 3/8 and or 1/4 inch elastic that isn't too tight is 16 inches for your top elastic. So I'm going to cut a little piece right here, and then same as your ties and your ear loops, you're just gonna okay, yeah. And then same as your ear loops, or when we had 4 ties, you're just gonna start on the outside and place your ends on the corners and do some tiny little stitches just to flip them out so that they'll go around your neck and around your head. Here is our elastic and tie mask, and if you leave this loop you can wear it around your neck, but you could also cut it off and it's just easier to tie behind and then loop over your head.
Elastic with cord adjusters. You can take elastic that's anywhere from 3/8 of an inch or smaller and cut a 22-inch long length of it to do the hoodie cord stoppers. And you're going to also just use this bobby pin and fold this in half. Use this as a thing to thread through, and you just squish either side of these and thread it through. And this makes it so that it's just really easy to tighten and loosen, especially because elastic starts to wear out. So it can get tighter and tighter for you as it gets looser, as the elastic itself gets looser. And if you have something like a jump ring or anything, or even you could just have a little safety pin at the end, just so if you're a person who likes to pull it really fast off, it could act as a stopper for that so that it doesn't just fly off, because you could just do this very easily.
So for a mask that has elastic on the top and bottom with hoodie cord little toggles that we just made, it's similar to the other flat ties and flat wide elastic, where you're going to lie them on the corner and make sure that you can flip it out so that the toggle will be pointing away from your head instead of kind of pushing the loop into it. Masks with these types of toggles are often pretty good for people with potential sensory overload and people who get pretty overwhelmed when if they're mask on. You can pretty easily, pull really hard and make it loose pretty quick.